All right, I know I've said a lot, but I have to say just one last little point about emotion and why we work with it in therapy and why it's so important in therapy. Because the truth is, a lot of therapists work with emotion, and sometimes the clients may not understand why or think it's just for catharsis or to get something off their chest. But the deeper explanation is this. Most of us have deep, implicit learnings that emotion is dangerous, that it will cause us to be rejected, that we will be overwhelmed by our emotion, that there's no positive resolution like through connection and support and problem solving that will come on the heels of emotion. Therefore, when we have an emotion, we predict that that's not good. Therefore, we do all of our defenses to not have emotion. Or if we have it, while the prediction that this isn't good is happening in our mind, this is bad for me, this will lead to danger, it produces incredible suffering. Because the truth is, it's not the negative emotion itself that produces the suffering, it's the belief that it's bad for us. That's actually just how suffering works for us. It's not so much the inputs themselves, it's whether our brain reads this as dangerous, bad, or like, okay, this is good. And a really clear, just quick example of that would be like when you're getting a massage. I mean, technically speaking, that's incredibly painful, especially those really deep massages where they really get in there, and I love those. But if you ever track it, you're like, wow, if I was feeling this way and I wasn't getting a massage right now, I'd probably be like really complaining about how much my body was hurting. But the fact that my brain knows, yes, this is pain, absolutely pain, but it's good for me. It will cause an improvement in my sort of like system or my muscles or my body, then it actually reads it as pleasure. So it's the same with emotion. Emotion isn't necessarily good or bad. What produces the suffering is when what we think we're experiencing right now is going to lead to a negative outcome. We're going to be overwhelmed. We're going to sink into a pit of despair because we're sad right now. We're going to be rejected. We're going to get angry and hurt somebody. Or we're just going to be angry and be punished in return and be hurt. So that is why it is incredibly useful if your therapist is trying to help you track your emotional process, let them. Because there's a good chance you do have some schemas around, some unconscious beliefs, these networks of association we were talking about, that say emotion leads to danger. And if that's the case and your therapist slows you down and say, gosh, your system doesn't really want to go there, does it? And you say, yeah, why would I want to? Emotion, it feels scary. I feel like I'm just going to go into a black pit, or you're going to not like me, or you're going to judge me for crying right now. Well, if you notice that and make it conscious, if you trust your therapist enough and are able to go ahead and have the tears or the emotion or even the aggression, exploring it and talking about it anyway, and you see that not only did it not cause harm, but it caused something productive. You got closer to your therapist, you understood yourself better, you freed up some of your vitality. Then from ever after, emotion will be kind of organized in your system in a different way that doesn't produce suffering. So I had to add that in there because that's a huge thing. And yes, it may not be everybody's piece, that might not be the specific reason you're coming to therapy, and maybe some other interpersonal issue, but if your therapist is helping you explore your emotions, it probably is worthwhile checking inside and seeing, what is my unconscious expectation around my emotional experience? Because if you can transform that, it can have a huge impact on your quality of life.